In this video, we'll learn how to use MutationObserver in JavaScript to detect changes in the DOM, such as when elements are added and removed, and when text and attributes have changed as well. Hey guys, and welcome to Azure Coding. To get started, I've set up some basic HTML and CSS, along with a script that I've set to defer, so that it'll run once the page is ready. I've also added in some buttons down below that will allow us to add and remove an item from the list here. So let's start by covering the basics of MutationObserver. Let's say we've integrated a third-party library that will add and remove items from a list in the UI. These click event handlers will represent the third-party library adding and removing items. For this tutorial, we'll trigger this with a simple button, but let's pretend we can detect when the user clicks on these buttons. In this case, we can work around that by looking at the list and checking when a new item has been added, or one has been removed. To do this, we'll use a MutationObserver here. As you can see, we use the MutationObserver constructor and pass in a callback function, which will get triggered when something changes, like a new item has been added. We then need to call the observe function with the UI element we want to observe, and some additional config elements, which we'll cover throughout the video. We're first going to check when items have been added and removed, so we'll just need to set child list to true. In our pretend third-party library, we'll pick a random fruit here, and then simply add it as a new list item element. Conversely, we'll be removing the last item in the list if there is one. Let's console log the list of mutations we get from the callback and test it out. So as you can see, we get a list of mutation records in the console, and each record will contain information about the change or mutation that took place. This type of mutation is a child list, and it contains some added nodes here, meaning something was added to the element's children, and we can use a target property to access the element that we're observing. And similarly, if we remove the item, the removed nodes property will contain that item. Now we know what to expect from the mutation array, let's loop through it and check the mutation type. If it's a child list mutation, then we can simply loop through the added nodes and removed nodes, writing a message to the console to say which element was respectively added or removed. Let's test it out by adding and removing multiple items. And there we are. Now that we've covered adding and removing elements, let's check for attribute changes. We're now going to observe the class attribute of the elements in the list and see if it changes. I've added in some additional styles for red, green and blue classes, and I've also added a button to change the colour through the class attribute. In the JavaScript code, I've added a reference to that button here, and also created a list of possible class names. Down below, I've added in our pretend third-party code that will pick a random class name that's different to the current class name. I've achieved this by filtering out the current class name here. The most important step is to update our config down here, making sure we're now observing attributes. You don't need to leave the child list property in if you're just interested in the attributes, but I've left it in for now, so we'll end up with a complete solution by the end. We can also specify which attributes we want to observe using the attribute filter property. And if we want to know the old value of the attribute in question, we can set attribute old value to true. In our callback, I'll add a new if condition for attributes, and I'll just console log what we get for now. I've added a new item, and when I click change color, the color of the item changes as expected, but nothing seems to be happening in the console. That's because we're observing the attributes on the entire list element, not the individual children elements. To demonstrate this, if I add a class attribute here, we'll get something in the console. So because we want to observe the attributes of the children elements, we'll need to set the subtree property to true, like so. And now we can see the mutation record in the console. Its type is set to attributes, and the attribute name is class. The old value is null here, and that's because we didn't have a class set initially, but if I change the color again, we should see it. Let's quickly add a console message for attributes, getting a new value with target.textContent, similar to before, and the old value. If the old value is null, we can output white. Let's see if it works. We'll move on now and see how we can observe changes in text. To check when the text content of an element has changed, we need to set character data to true in the config, and if we're interested in the old value, we can set character data old value to true as well. To change the text content, I'm just going to set the content editable property of the list items to true, which will allow me to edit the text directly in the UI. Let's add a character data if condition here, and test it out with a simple console log of the mutation record. If I delete some characters of this item, the mutation record appears on the console. As you might expect, the type is set to character data this time, and we can see the old text value. So let's add in a quick console message here. And I'll take it one step further by checking if the text value is a valid fruit from the array above. and if it's not, we'll make the text italic. So now as I delete some characters, we get the message in the console. The text is italic, and if I undo that, the text goes back to normal. One last tip before we finish off: if you ever want to stop observing changes, simply call the disconnect function like so. If you're looking for some example apps, I've created a suite of desktop and Android apps that are all open source, and I've also made a language insight mode with 11t that's 100% free. Check them both out in the description down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to keep up to date with the latest from Zool Coding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.